Hey guys, welcome to episode 14 of the 1023 So podcast. What we're gonna do is, as I mentioned in the last episode, we're gonna do some short form Q&A, I guess. And I think this might be helpful. It might be a good way to stay on topic and cover things that might actually be useful. And so, especially for as we get this stuff loaded up on YouTube, maybe it'll help answer questions that people are asking without having to sit through 30 minutes to an hour of information that isn't pertinent to what they're looking for. So we're going to do Q&As. And today's question is, what should I upgrade first on my 7.3? And the answer is, the first thing to look at is does something need to be replaced or fixed? And that's always going to be the first thing I would fix, at least almost always. So like if you need to replace the injectors, go ahead and replace them. And replace them with whatever it is that you think is going to be the injector that'll fit your needs. We're not going to get into that today. So you can always, look at our articles or videos or make a decision yourself, read forums, whatever. Make that choice. But in general, unless you're an edge case where you're super high altitude or you tow really heavy every day and it's a work truck, which I really wouldn't recommend going big in anyway. And you can, like I said, you can see our videos about that. It doesn't really matter. So you can stick bigger injectors, and I can't say like what the limit would be, but I would say like sub 80 or 100% nozzles on just about any stock truck with tuning that's appropriate in a mild tune, and it will run on a stock vehicle fine. I would say that's pretty common. So you can do that. If injectors need to be replaced first, do that. If the fuel system is leaking, you want to replace it. If you've got it, an OBS or whatever, you want to just get a new fuel system. Let's swap it to e-fuel. Go ahead and swap it, and that's fine. If your turbo is failing and that you want to, run 160 or 180 30s down the road, and you want to pick the turbo that's going to work with that, go for it. You don't need to have those injectors to run that turbo. As long as you make the proper choice in the beginning. And so that's why we have a lot of the other information that kind of covers what you would choose in a certain scenario. And I can't cover all that in a quick bit here like this, but we can certainly say there's very few things that you could do to your truck like individually that would become a problem enough to where you can't use your truck anymore. So address what needs to be addressed first. If nothing needs to be addressed or you've already addressed like the problems that you have, then the next thing I would say is, again, it doesn't really matter, but there's some things that definitely need to or should happen together. The things that should happen together are the fuel system and the turbo. I would do those at the same time. Mainly on the 94 to 97 OBS trucks, because the turbo has to come out to do anything with the fuel system on the top side. So like if you're going to replace the fuel system with an e-fuel kit or a regular return of any kind, you're going to have to pull the turbo, and it's a nightmare to pull those turbos. On the 99 to 2003 trucks, it's not as big of a deal. It's not as complicated. It's not as much of a pain in the butt. And so yes, you have to pull the turbo to replace the fuel system generally, but it's a lot simpler to do. So I would look at, the fuel system and the turbo at the same time, no matter what, if you can. Again, it doesn't matter from like a functionality standpoint, just an ease of installation standpoint. So I would do those together. The other thing is injectors that are going to be larger than stock, almost always, in almost every scenario, are going to require you to have tuning. And the times it won't are when you've got an old body style truck with 160, to 180 cc, A code injectors. So they're a 7-to-1 injection ratio injector with a stock or 30% nozzle, especially stock. They're going to run just like stock without tuning. But on the OBS trucks, a 160 0, let's just say from there all the way up to a 180/30, anything in between is generally going to run pretty close to stock, or it will run fine without tuning. And so I would recommend doing tuning at the same time. At least if you're going to have tuning, I would get custom tuning for it. But it'll work fine without it. So, but other than that, I would always do tuning with injectors at the same time. Other than those scenarios, there really isn't anything that like has to happen first. And, we'll get into like high pressure oil pumps and stuff like that in the future. Hopefully like get more into detail about them. But in general, your turbo and fuel system should happen together. Your injectors and tuning should happen together. And other than that, it doesn't really matter what you replace first, other than replacing things that are going to fix problems that you already have. So there's a quick bit for today. Thank you for joining us on a, Thursday afternoon or morning or evening, whatever it is for you. And we'll come back to you tomorrow.